Okay, welcome everybody. My goodness, so glad we're in the ICT field.
I know.
Because I use those skills every day. My name is Richard Grotigan. I'm here from Maloney College.
And I'm Rupa Mathur. I'm here from Irvine Valley College.
And I'm Marcus, and I'm here virtually from Cosumnes River College.
And Marcus is our leader and chair of our group, and so he's going to get started.
Thank you very much, Richard, and thanks everyone for welcoming me remotely. I decided to put family first this time around, so I'm actually joining you from Dallas, Texas. We're doing a cross-country trip, my oldest son and I. So I appreciate the opportunity to be able to contribute remotely. If you can move it on to the next slide, what my goal is to give you guys an introduction as to what we have been working on. And when I say we are the Faculty Discipline Review Group, FDRG, in the information systems area of the CID process in California, of which I'm assuming many of you will be familiar. If not, a quick introduction. We're trying to build transfer curriculum for community colleges to specifically California state universities, though UC has been invited to and has in some cases been at the table, though not specifically in our discipline. But what we're trying to do is give students opportunities to finish two-year curricula and then move on into baccalaureate degree programs, specifically in the information systems field. We've run into some interesting issues in that we, in California, have for a long time really had two separate camps, and those two separate camps consist on the one side of computer science, which typically
you think maybe you could speak up a little bit? We can't turn up the volume anymore in here, and we have a very small speaker phone.
Okay, is this going to be helpful?
Yeah, I think that's better.
Okay, all right. So let me try to continue then. So we have computer science on one side, and that's been in the College of Business. College of Engineering, and then we've had information systems or management information systems, sometimes known as business information systems, within the College of Business at many, if not all, of the CSUs. And what that has traditionally led to has been what I would consider turf wars, and to the point where, who can teach what, who teaches which programming language. So rather than collaboration, in the past, there has really been almost competition for students within our fields. And what that has prevented us from doing in California is to create a middle ground that is focused to meet the needs of our industry, at least within the CSUs. Certainly, there have been private universities that have been more than happy to step into that market. So if you look around at places like University of Phoenix, at places like DeVry, they have been happy to jump in and offer degrees in information technology that industry has been looking for. And it's been historically very difficult for us to do that in California, again, because of these two camps that we've had in the past. As an aside, I've had a chance to travel to and to teach in other places, and one example I can give of a university in Estonia up on the Baltic, Tallinn Technical University. And Tallinn Tech basically has taken all of the IT disciplines and moved them into one college. So what that has allowed them to do is offer degrees across the board. And so in California, we've really had our history, which, don't get me wrong, we've done very well both in computer science and in information systems, but not in between. So we've historically been able to address the issue, but historically it doesn't meet today's needs. Next slide, please. Okay, I've lost the slides. Are you guys still there?
Yep, we're going to find.
Okay, so looking at some of those historical barriers then, specifically in computer science, we've now got a TMC in place, Transfer Model Curriculum. And when I say in place, that's kind of an interesting statement, because there have not been too many community colleges that have actually been able to implement that curriculum, primarily because of the very high unit requirements that they have run into. Many computer science classes are 4, sometimes even 5-unit classes at the community college level. Of course, if you're familiar with the CID process, the goal is to work with 3-unit classes, which are encountered primarily at CSUs. So we've had quite some issues implementing this model curriculum at the community college level, and of the requirements of 2 physics courses, which are slowly, ever so slowly being lifted, and I'll talk about that in just a second, as well as calculus, have made it relatively difficult. And whoever I talk with, we know that calculus is very much present in the computer science curriculum. The question that I have been asking for quite some time is, well, how much calculus do most computer science graduates actually use on the job? And really nobody has ever said to me, well, you know, the people we hire use a lot. So, you know, we like the idea that people can think a certain way, can deal with mathematics a certain way, but, you know, is calculus really necessary? And industry is asking the very, very same question. Why are you guys teaching calculus? That's not what we want in our employees, in many, if not most of them. Next slide, please. So what that has led then to, for us, is for looking for reasons as to why do we have these traditional degrees, and why hasn't there been a whole lot of movement. And part of it has been the accreditation requirements. One on the ABET side, and I'm not sure if I spelled that correctly, as well as AICSB, so on engineering and on business, we have traditionally had requirements where people have basically said, okay, if you want to offer degrees within your school of business, you need to follow these requirements by the accrediting bodies beyond just the regional accreditation, the same on the engineering side. They have slowly been relaxing some of these requirements, but they're not quite where we want them to be in order to meet industry needs. So in that spirit then, we've decided, well, what do we do? We could have very, very simply just taken information systems, just kept it a business degree, but that business TMC has already been passed, and all we would have added would basically have been 1, maybe 2 courses. In that regard, you know, we wouldn't have really met industry needs, because it still would have been a business-style degree. It still wouldn't have resulted in what industry is looking for. So we decided to take a big step within our FDRG and said, well, why don't we look at information technology, or to use the MPICT favorite, information and communications technology, which is certainly more widely and internationally accepted as a definition for our field. And, you know, gone that route to build what I call the 3rd leg. So leg 1 being computer science, leg 2 being information systems, business information systems, and then leg 3 being ICTs. And the ACM has defined that a couple of times over the last 8 years. And if you wanted to check out the link to it, that's the Special Interest Group for IT Education. Many of you are probably familiar with the CSE, 6C, the big conference. Well, this one is the IT side. There have been efforts to try to build this discipline of IT, again, to meet that industry need that's out there. Next slide, please. Many of us have probably encountered the idea of 4-year graduates coming back to our community colleges and picking up additional skills. Well, you ask, why would they need to do that? Well, many skills that have traditionally been taught in both computer science and information systems programs are certainly valuable foundational skills, but don't necessarily increase employability. So that has been the primary issue, is how much can we make these graduates more useful to industry. And oftentimes the usefulness is increased by skills in networking, for example, be that on the Cisco side or on the Microsoft server side. Some of the web skills that industry is looking for, that are asked for in the different frameworks by Department of Labor or through, again, the environmental scan put together by MPICT, by doing what matters. So these skills aren't coming out of the current 4-year degrees that are out there. Next slide, please. So the big step then for us was that third leg of the stool, and that would be information and communications technology model curriculum. Now, it didn't start as such. If you look at the presentation title, it says transfer model curriculum. And we ran into some major issues in trying to build a transfer model curriculum because there are not too many transfer programs. Actually, there are relatively few at this point in time within the CSU system that would have an upper division curriculum to put on top of the lower division, the 2-year curriculum that we were building within the FDRG for information systems. Some of you may have participated in the vetting process that happened in the middle of 2013. And as a result of many of you saying that, well, we don't have any place for these students to go in the CSU system, we ran into some major concerns by the interdisciplinary work group of CID, which basically said, well, we can't really call something a transfer model curriculum if there's no place to transfer to. And so it's the classic chicken, egg, cart before horse kind of situation where industry is looking for these skills. Community colleges have the courses that can provide the foundation for those skills, not only for associate but also for baccalaureate skills. But there's nothing for them to go to. There are no places, I wouldn't say no, there certainly are some, but there are not enough places for those students to transfer to at this point in time to be able to enable, or for the IWG, the interdisciplinary work group, to say, yes, we can take this as a transfer model curriculum. So the alternative that we had to embark on then was that of a model curriculum, which basically says, well, in the long run, you might be able to turn this into a TMC. In the meantime, it's just an MC.
Great, Marcus. Thank you. Can you still hear me all right?
I can. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. It's a little faint. We have a big group here, too. So, all right. I'm going to go ahead and kind of talk through the next slide a little bit. And I'm going to turn off your microphone so that we don't get a lot of feedback. All right. You can still hear me, though. You'll have to chat, though. So to sort of recap a process that I've been involved with for quite a number of years, I see Nancy here, and that was maybe 2.5 years ago we started this process to develop a transfer model curriculum based upon the requirements that we were facing to do so at the community college. And there was a huge group of instructors who met together. There's a whole process that was outlined. I was part of the DIG group. There was a meeting in Southern California and one in Northern California. There were probably 50 people there at the meeting, all saying we need something. Yeah, we need something to transfer to. And you know, we're all teaching IT courses. Many of our schools were Cisco Network Academy courses, teaching students the skills that they needed to get employed. And we knew that we were getting students back from the CSUs that would come back to the community college and say, you know, I've got my degree in business IS, but I am not be able to get a job. I need to get some certifications or skills. I need to know Cisco or Oracle or Microsoft. So we got started. We met on the process, and really the only transfer model curriculum that's fit closely to us at all was the computer science one that Marcus talked about. but Rupo can tell us a little bit about that and the business one as
So this
well.
one, if you get to the next slide, the computer science one kind of modeled ours, but it really doesn't have a lot of IT kind of courses. It has a lot of math courses, as you can see. It has programming courses, but it really doesn't have a lot of IT courses. So then we looked at another one. I'll go to the next slide. And
So that's the ACM recommendation.
right, and then you can see that the ACM recommendation is there for those classes. There are the programming concepts, kind of computer architecture type of classes. But still, it didn't really match with ours. The other one that we looked at was the business administration to see, okay, are there any courses there that would match? So here, really the only course that kind of sort of matched was the application development programming course. That's really the essentials course. Another one that might look familiar to you is the business information systems. Again, more just basic, very basic business communications, but all the others are basically accounting, economics, and those types. So we really wanted to focus on information and communication technology. So then we went and we did a lot of work, and we had a lot of people, including Richard and Marcus and I, and then we had some CSU faculty there as well, to try to look at two different drafts of TMC. So we created an information systems from business ICT TMC and also an information communication technologies TMC. Those went out for vetting in May of last year. It was kind of a really difficult time, May, but this is what was included. So in this one, you can see that we did have a lot more of the ICT kind of curriculum. If you teach in computer information systems or computer information management or anything like that, you'll see that these are very similar to yours. So what we did was we picked a core of those 12 units, those 4 classes up at the top, and then we picked any 6 from here, and then an additional 3 from here. So this is one of the things that we proposed. And as I said, the vetting was done right at the end of the spring semester in 2013, and it was a really difficult time. We really got very few responses, and that was unfortunate. We should have put it out there earlier. But the few responses that we did get basically said, look, CSUs don't offer these degrees. How can you make it a transfer model curriculum if they don't offer it? Therefore, the Academic Senate, the California State Academic Senate, came back to us and said, you know what, why don't we try to make it into a model curriculum instead of a transfer model curriculum? So this is kind of like the baby step. That's the way I see it. Well, let's do the baby step first. Let's get a model curriculum, which at least all the community colleges can take advantage of. At least we can try to align our program similar to the model curriculum, and then hopefully as the CSUs and the UCs start building their curriculum around this, it can maybe become a TMC in the future. So that's what we're hoping for.
Can I ask you a question? Of course. I guess I'm not sure, when you say a model curriculum, I'm not sure that I understand if that has a particular meaning or connotation other than just obviously a model. So I don't know if there's something else connected.
Yeah, I think we'll address that in the next couple of slides for you, hopefully.
And if not, we'll definitely come back and answer.
All right, I guess I'll hold my other question then.
Okay, should you?
I have a question about the conclusion about transfer. And as you all probably know, we get quite a bit of pressure to increase transfer numbers. There are, at least as far as I know, at least 5 CSUs that have a bachelor's degree in IT. And so I was just wondering why, I mean, I understand the issues because I've been to some of these meetings and I've seen I've heard the discussion. I was just wondering why we really didn't follow through with the transfer concept. I know I'm just saying I'm getting a lot of pressure about it.
Yeah, I understand. And there are some schools that offer the business IT, but the business IT only really has one course that we would teach.
Well, I'm not looking at this ICT curriculum as a potential. I thought there was going to be a potential transfer to schools, to CSUs that have a 4-year BS degree in IT, which is different from the business degree, the 4-year business degree. So I was just wondering if someone could articulate that.
That's the next small step we're taking in that process. If we have a model curriculum, the idea is that could
open up the discussion.
Create from the bottom up enough pressure
politically.
This has been like a 16-year-long process.
No, I mean, too. Yeah, I got that.
And
I appreciate that.
When I was chairwoman for marketing, we went to the CSUs. I don't think you were there. I think there was somebody else from Monterey, but they get together twice a year with the department chairs from the CSUs and stuff. So there are 5,
something like that. Yeah,
that have the.
I thought I had it memorized.
But they got together and they decided that because business is so different, that they didn't even want to deal with it. That's where we came up with the computer science was the only way that we wanted to be. We were there. And so, that's where we went with the computer science. And then with our groups, we had talked about trying to come up with something. But until there is a degree that fits the entire group, you can't get the buy-in from all of the issues as where it needs to be. So while there's 5, there's some great schools that I haven't dealt with, but I know
he was transferred to Monterey Bay. So
I think it's still great too.
Well, let's finish up, and then maybe we can address some of these things, because we've been enmeshed in this for quite a while now.
I think I was stating the obvious.
Yeah, well, perhaps. So we had another meeting with the same group that had put together the first TMC proposal. We met in October. We had other people come in. The folks from MPICT, James Jones, came in to talk about the need to further. And we had the same CSU folks there who were very supportive, but understood the issues at their institutions as well. And actually, Satya was there to talk about the CS IT program at Monterey Bay. And we decided to go forward with the recommendation by the Chancellor's Office or the Academic Senate, rather, to put forward a model. There are others on the website. We'll show you those.
I've been to the website and I actually
there's one on nursing. Nursing is a model curriculum. That's one example.
I'll make some comments with.
Yeah. Oh, okay, good. Great. Oh, wonderful.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So I handed out a copy of what we came up with, and for me, this doesn't include, like, I'm a Cisco teacher, so we teach a lot of Cisco networking classes, take them through CCNP, and then with a 4-year degree, they're strong candidates out there. But so we had to settle for a number of courses that are general courses that meet the Department of Labor's needs for fundamental ICT skills that all workers should have. This is what we put together. And it's the CID process was recommended the model curriculum approach for us to follow. So that was our only alternative, really.
But Richard, you said one of the desires is to have some level of certification for the students to now have a bachelor's degree to get into the workforce. But it seems like variably when you get certification, they get truncated before they. Like, it would make sense to me to have a second computer network fundamental so you can get your
CSNET or something.
Yeah, or in virtual.
That's our plan at our institution to do that. And some of these courses you could take it. Students can take it to high school, like the computer programming course. They get college credit for that at high school. They take the AP. They can get 2+2 for the A+ course, which is on here. So that's what my thinking is that they'll get some of these courses a little earlier and have some room in their schedule to still make it a 4-year program.
Does your high school offer computer programming?
Some of our high schools do, yes.
The AP computer science.
AP computer science.
Yeah, we're really limited in the number of units for transferability, and that's a problem. We wanted that a lot more.
And every community college, there are hundreds of community colleges here in Comfort, are all kind of different in what they offer, how they offer it. And this might be a way to standardize that.
And plus, standardizing the course offerings to students can easily transfer from one state to another. I think that's really an important thing of what you're doing.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
And I see 22 units here, and obviously there's GE added on top of this, but is there room to maybe do some of the stuff we're talking about? Is technical electives in this process?
Well, not to follow what we hope to eventually have is a TMC to meet those requirements where students can get through in 4 years, do the 120 units, and be guaranteed transfer. That's our long-term goal. This is a
50 or below at the.
So 38 of them are GE, is it? Total units is 22 is what it says.
right.
38.
And how many GE?
37, somewhere around there, give or take. It depends on if you do ICT or not.
Right. Yeah.
Ours are 40.
So very few of the courses in our program meet the general ed requirement also. So that's not one
Only one of them meets GE.
So I guess my question, because we're in a very rural college, so when we have a model curriculum that looks like this, this is really only going to be helpful to students who are going to transfer to get the 4-year degree, because this in and of itself is not going to get them a job, right? This combination of classes that I'm seeing here is not going to get them.
Well, they could get CompTIA certification, both the A+ and Net+ through
After just taking
the Information Communication Technology Essentials and then the Computer Network Fundamentals, if you choose to use that curriculum.
And Security Plus for security.
And Security Plus, yeah. So there are some certs. They could be employable. We're in that difficult situation between employers demanding bachelor's degrees, right, for every job in IT. And,
versus more depth in a particular area.
Yeah. Yes.
I like the model here, but since this is right now, you're in a tight schedule right now. But cybersecurity is becoming very important. So one, would it be too much to ask you to actually add some more as an option? So you can actually, if somebody wants to go to cybersecurity programs, be able to actually select the selective, the optional course become more of the security. So actually have that option within that. If they go through that, they can get into some cybersecurity program. Just make this a little more ICT centered, a little more open, rather than just kind of tied to what it is.
We could do that. You have an opportunity to submit that as a request. These are out for vetting till the end of February, so we've got till the 24th of February to make those comments. And this is a draft.
The other comment is, do you have at some point a proposed upper division look at what this is going to look like and what somebody transfers into?
We don't have that, but one of the representatives at our meeting was Cal Poly Pomona, and they're very interested in graduates coming to their program.
But we have a program completely done, at least as it is completed in Europe,
Right, and those are one-to-one relationships you have with the schools that you can do, and
base model.
Right. Michael?
Richard, based on your experience, do you think it would make more sense to add additional electives, for example, within cybersecurity, or to create a model curriculum specifically for cybersecurity? Which approach do you think would have better traction based on your experience over the past 16 years?
Well, that's why we elected to go this route, I think, to try to meet the general needs. You were involved in the Department of Labor activity that MPICT went through, quite involved, I think, to meet those basic requirements, basic competencies.
If there's a desire to create a model curriculum for cybersecurity, would it make sense to create a separate model entirely, or to infuse what you have with additional options so that students could make kind of a specialization out of this on their own?
Yeah, I think that could be, either way, it could be done. I think you might be better off with the second option where you give them more choices.
More choices, yes.
Yeah, I think so. I don't think that's a problem. Yeah, please put that into your response when you log on and complete the survey. One of the problems we had is we didn't have very many respondents. And that was at the end of May, at the end of the semester. It was not the greatest time, but you know, the more data we collect.
And I apologize for not knowing this, but I thought that I had signed up for these things, but you know, to be notified and to get those things, but I never saw this. So I'm just trying to figure out how do we get on those lists correctly?
Well,
we're going to tell you.
Yeah, let's.
Your Senate person notify you before you do everything.
So when you go to the website right now, the ICT model, you click on TMC, the Transfer Model Curriculum, you scroll down the screen, you'll see Model Curriculum Vetting Open, and Information Communication Technologies is one of them. It's listed there.
Yeah, so we can go in there, because I'm sorry, I'm on the page a lot.
Yeah, you have to scroll down, and we're right underneath nursing. Nursing is a model program, too, that they are being vetted.
How you get notified about because one of my colleagues did this like in December. Well, the chair of the ICT engineer was told that somebody has been involved in this, or do you send it to the chairs?
I'm not sure, Marcus. Marcus, are you aware of the process that people get notified of this effort? Oh, you sign up on the listserv.
You can go straight to the website.
Well, for those of you that are here today, you're on notice. Right, we're notifying you now. This is, you go to this website. And you scroll down, and you can actually click on the Information Communications Technology link right here. This is the website. Re-review. Click on this link, Information Communication. You'll see the same form that I just gave you a hard copy of. That's listed there. And then if you click on the other link, you'll get the survey. That's the SurveyMonkey thing. And you can go through that. You're going to be asked to put your name, institution, email address, and everything. You can click on the ACM Associate Degree Competency Model that Marcus talked about that's available now. That came out, the timing of that was perfect. That came out right after we had done our work. And it really, you know, we know what we've been teaching over the years, and we know that it's important, and we know that it helps students get jobs. We know that. And so it was not a real hard thing to come up with a general curriculum that allowed students to pick and choose which direction they may want to go in. And they'd probably still have to come back and get retrained. I mean, IT's that way. We're always going to get college graduates coming back to our community college programs to learn new skills. Once you log in there, our hope, we have this ACM support now. I think the CSUs were very interested in having that. Without that, that was the leverage they needed. So that may be what shakes the inertia that's there. Yes?
I have a different question from a curriculum development perspective. One of the advantages of the TMCs was that there was almost an automatic approval of a degree at the chancellor's level. Has there been any discussion about the impact of not being a transfer model curriculum with respect to approval at the state level?
No, just...
We're often to go through this, as you all probably know, relatively lengthy process to get the degree approved. And that was the attraction of the TMC.
Right.
Yeah.
Again, this is one more step towards building a case for a transfer model curriculum.
But all the courses that we put in here, we did write the curriculum,
well, we have the course descriptors for all of those. I have copies of those here, hard copies.
Official TMC, then I'm just looking at the paperwork I got here.
Yeah, this document is online, plus each of the courses that are listed here. The draft descriptors online as well. And then I have some copies here. Yeah, way in the back.
I was wondering if you could talk about the rationale for having a separate descriptor for the intro to programming class rather than just use the Conform 12. So why is there an ITIS 130 and a Conform 12? I guess is what I'm wondering about.
Marcus, do you have an answer to that? The question was, why are there choices, the IATS 130 or the Comp 112 for the programming?
These things off.
Different languages, maybe? Like, because most community colleges are limited to 2 classes.
Let me turn your speaker back on. If you want to.
It'd be 2 programming classes.
No, it's the same, it's the
It's one or the other.
Yeah.
Right.
I thought it was. No, the intro to programming is 2 classes and most community colleges.
No, it's one actually. I think it's one numbers.
Yeah, if you look at the descriptors,
Programming course offered.
Often covered just.
So, in some of the other courses, you'll notice that there's 2 descriptors. For example, is it ITIS 120 and Business 140? One of those, I might have the numbers wrong, but it's common to have disciplines have different descriptors that are almost identical.
They are,
Yeah.
I think Marcus just made some comments there too.
For the
Business programming.
The Comp 112 is because Cal State Fullerton has an introduction to programming that was 2 versus the 1. And so he really, do you remember that discussion where he felt very strong that he wanted to have that as one of the options? Yeah, he wanted to.
I think Fullerton was one of our group members too.
One of the interesting things about that is that Comp 112 never actually ended up on the TMCs for computer science. So.
Well, it's an option that was in there for a while.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
you're still going to get to the special content. I'm not clear about what's the difference then between the TMC and the MC in terms of everything else. So does every class that we have on a model curriculum have to have CID approval like we do if it's on the TMC? And I mean, what's model curriculum mean?
Yeah, and I don't have a good, clear answer for that.
Okay.
Again, we have associate degrees we offer our students that are more focused on the technologies, focused on networking, focused on security or whatever, and they take many more courses that don't transfer, but they do it for the AS degree, for the 2-year degree. We wanted to build a model curriculum that could eventually be a transfer. I mean, that was our goal originally. And then we took input from the Department of Labor, from the ACM now, actually, and still pretty general subject. I mean, they may not be able to get employed with just this after 2 years, but yeah, hope is that they would transfer somewhere eventually, and that we would create enough momentum and demand that CSUs would come back. And I think Cal Poly Pomona may be one of them.
When is your next meeting? Will be the next meeting for this?
Marcus, I don't think we have any future meetings for this. I guess it depends on the vetting. So after February 24th, when we collect all the data, we see what the response is, and then we decide whether. It's all voluntary, this work, too, by the way.
Appreciate it. It's really to go back to your colleagues at your colleges and tell them about the vetting process, show them the CID site and the link that Richard said, and make sure we get as much input as we can this time. We're really here because we want this to work for all the community colleges and for the CSUs, and this is just one step forward into doing that.
But is this MC, is this something that's designated in the ed code or something? And we still don't understand, why not just, what's the difference between just getting our own courses and doing these and not having to go through CID and just having a certificate or an AS degree?
Well, you're still doing that, right? So everyone's still going to have their courses and their certificates and all that. The goal is, so the California State Academic Senate, if you guys know Michelle Kalai, she came back to us and said, look, it's not going to pass as a transfer model curriculum.
I think I do that.
It's not going to do it. In the future it may, but right now it's not. And so what options do we have? Do we just close our doors and say, okay, all the work that we've done is over and we go home? Or do we try for something? And so we said, let's try. And so what she said was, let's do a model curriculum. Let's get this approved, And maybe then we can get more momentum like you're doing.
I don't know. I'm the faculty senate president at my college. I don't know if I can't tell them what a modern curriculum is and what the advantage is. I'm not going to be able to get it.
Well, we'll make sure and get you that information before you have that.
That's the hard part.
We're down to just a couple minutes.
I kind of feel like in order to make this work, we really need to work with at least one CSU to develop a bachelor's degree that's going to dovetail into this so that we can go to TMC with it.
Exactly.
Right.
And so we're kind of...
Right, exactly. Well, we're working with Cal Poly right now. They were at the meeting in the October.
We can see there's also a big health program that could match with this also. If you have 2 or 3, that would make it sense.
Yourselves too.
Of course.
That would be awesome.
Because one concern I have, once it makes it to be a TMC, a transfer model curriculum, then there's some restrictions and some other things that play into that. And so I'm just trying to understand and I'm a little concerned because as a model curriculum, my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, is that we can use this, but if it doesn't fit our college or fit our immediate needs, we can totally put this aside for the moment. Whereas with the transfer model curriculum, we can't. If there's a transfer model curriculum in computer science, we had to pull our computer science degree because we couldn't match the transfer model curriculum. And I just want to make sure that we're not putting ourselves in that kind of a position with a model curriculum.
Not yet.
No. The transfer model that we had an option to give was the business IS. That's one course that we would teach at the community college in IT, and it's computer science. That was our option. So.
No, I mean, I think it's great that you guys went on and didn't just say, okay, well, we're just going to stop then. I mean, this is wonderful. I'm just trying to make sure I understand it. Kind of like you, as the curriculum chair, if I go back and also someone in our computer department, if I go back and try to talk to my department about this, I have to feel really confident in what I'm saying to them about what's required, what's not required, and what can we do with it.
Right.
I'm just trying to understand.
So let's say that in, I don't know, I'm just going to pick a number. Let's say that in 5 years this does become a TMC.
Right.
Don't you already teach a lot of these classes already? I mean, you have to maybe tweak your degree.
Yes,
but not get rid of classes.
No, but as a really small college, there's some of these courses that we could never and will never be able to fill. So we would not be able to match it, and so then we have to pull back and do something totally different.
So that's where some of the other state initiatives are coming in for distance learning and for to be able to play in from other colleges.
Yeah.
I just want to say that my understanding is that if there's a TMC in a certain discipline, you don't have to do away with your existing degrees. You can add the TMC as an option for your students, but you don't have to,
That's the way it was originally written, but there's new legislation that was passed.
the new legislation is
You can't have the same name or
it's different than what's
same name.
That's the way it was. That's the way they always told us it was going to be.
Right.
And now there's, I think it's absolutely 580 or something like that.
SB 1441. Or 4440. But you can always have 2. It's just that if you have a regular one, you have to offer the transfer degree. But you can always say, you don't have to get rid of it. You don't have to
But it doesn't count for the transfer degree.
I have
then you have to cancel it.
Yeah.
And I have a non-transfer degree.
Right.
So you can keep that, but if you have a transfer degree, you're going to have to change that to match.
No, if you have a regular degree,
Yeah.
you have to offer the transfer degree.
Oh, right.
And if you can't offer both for resources, then you're going to have to cancel your other degree. You have to cancel your local
Change it a little bit.
So we're completely out of time. However, before you go, here's the website. You can put your email address, and you'll become part of that group that we can communicate with.
And that web address is the CID?
Yeah, CID.net. Here's how to get to that site if you want to grab a hard copy of this. And then I've got a few copies of each of the descriptors. If you really seriously want to look at them while you're here, this evening,
Especially the new
or whatever.
Well, especially the new ones that you had.
Yeah. Well, they're all almost all drafts. So you can grab a copy of that. Yeah, it's up to you guys now. We need to get enough people that are interested in supporting it. Thank you, Marcus.